Hello, and welcome to another monthly reading from Karen's Colours. I'm Dr. Karen, an Australian sociologist with a primary interest in the language of colour as it pertains to the way in which people view each other and also in the way in which we act in our everyday lives. This month, I've decided to choose a new oracle that I received just recently. It's by Sharina Starr, and it's called the Fortune Oracle. There aren't very many cards in this, but I have noticed that the cards that do exist here are really quite interesting. So hopefully they'll help us along our journey in May, because we've had a couple of really torrid months. Everyone in the world has been subjected to quite a high level of anxiety. And I hope that this month's readings for May 2026 will help to curb some of that anxiety and bring us all back down to earth and to a situation where we can actually be kind to one another. So let's get started, shall we? To begin with, let's select an oracle card to help us along and give us some extra definition to the colour reading. As you can see, my shuffling has not improved at all. Anyway. Okay, we'll pop the card over here. We now choose a series of colours for people born in November to look at their May 2026. And the first combination we want is that one that represents your strengths. And we have orange on grey. The obstacle that you are likely to face turns out to be red on black. And the additional energy that is available to you is black on grey. Very well then. Orange on grey. Grey internally, and remember this is the strength, so it's on a positive stance. The grey internally means that you are able at all times to see both the black and the white of every issue. You're able to chart a central middle course throughout whatever turbulence you are surrounded by. And so there is a certain degree of objectivity that comes with this. There is a drive to maintain that objectivity regardless of what it is that you are being faced with. And what is that you are being faced with? Well, orange in the real world is always associated with crisis. It's a warning in that something is likely to happen. At this stage, you have the ability to remain objective in the face of a crisis. And in that respect, you are also able to make the connections that are necessary in order to overcome whatever that crisis is. So there is a great deal of courage and confidence and strength that is seen here in this orange as a result of your ability to see things from everybody else's point of view. There's a very multifaceted reading on this particular combination, and it's a difficult one if it were a problem, but being a strength, it allows you to not just stand in some sort of middle place, but it also allows you to take action. Orange in the real world is bravery. You can stand up, be counted, do what is necessary in order to heroically deal with whatever issues are coming your way. And what are those issues? Well, red on black is always about the sexuality crisis. Inside yourself, you find that the biggest issue, the biggest obstacle is a tendency towards doom and gloom. seeing the negative side of things. In fact, what it does is it darkens down this ability to see things from both sides of a dilemma and choose the path that says, no, it's just not going to work out. There's a degree of pessimism that accompanies the black as an interior driver. In the real world, there is also a lot of energy, a lot of ability to do things. But what is it that you are actually doing? Orange says get ready, red says stop. And so here we have the obstacle is that you've suddenly discovered who you are, and that is a problem. How do you present that to the world without showing the world that you are aggressive, that you are a fighter, that you are prepared to spill blood even, if necessary, in order to try and deal with this feeling of not being good enough, the pessimism that comes with just feeling as though everything that can go wrong will go wrong. If you are feeling bad about something, chances are that is the energy that you will draw towards you. And when red is the action that you take as a result of this energy, then often there is some sort of damage that is ensued. The additional energy that you have here is an interesting one because it actually combines both the grey and the black. It combines your strength with the obstacle. Only this time, the ability to be objective, to remain in the middle rather than take sides in any given issue, in the real world comes through as a period of time in which you can simply withdraw, step back, allow yourself space and time to allow your spirit to recover. Black in the real world is often a sense of getting in touch with your own inner demons. Who are you? That's what you're asking yourself here. This is the obstacle that you need to overcome. Well, in order to discover what that is, you need to take the time away from everyday concerns, not just by trying to maintain some sort of equilibrium, but in fact actively seeking the answers. And the only answers you get from black is always going within to look for those answers. This is the color of spiritual seeking. And it's an important one because it allows you to dig deep inside yourself to discover things about yourself that you maybe didn't want to know, facing the dark self, but it could also be things that you didn't know and now are coming to the fore. The grey internally, of course, keeps you objective about this. If you didn't know, it's not your fault. If you did know and didn't want to face it, then it's time to let some of that go, because the light is still on the inside. Let's have a look at the colours that are missing to see if they give us any additional guidance. You have black, but there is no white. You have red, there's no yellow, or green, or blue, or brown. You do have orange, there is grey, there's no purple, or pink, or cyan. Now, looking at these colours, what it tells us is that you are operating in May with a very limited palette of activities, skills, behaviours that are available to you. Black, red, orange, and grey doesn't give you a great deal of scope for fighting against whatever it is that this red and black sexuality issue is throwing at you. Sexuality is about how you present yourself to the world. What is it that you want people to understand about you as a human being, as a person in your own right? On the other hand, these missing colours carry the keys to other skills that you probably know about and maybe even have used in the past that you can now, if you choose to, add to this repertoire to expand whatever it is that you do in reaction to this crisis. Now, the idea, of course, is to choose which is the most appealing and which is the least appealing, and put those two colors into your life somehow, use them throughout the month of May. That increases this repertoire, but it also gives you potential access to all of the colors in between those two extremes. But I'm not going to discuss the missing colors in any detail in this reading, because I have a series of videos on each of these colors as a personality type, which will clearly outline just how they affect behavior. What I am interested in doing is looking at the interactions between these three sets of colors. We have orange and gray, we have red and black, and then of course we have black and gray. Leaving that aside for the moment, let's have a look at what happens when we interact between the strength and the obstacle. And we do that by swapping over the drivers. If we look at the courage and confidence and ability to survive issues, that is your strength here, and combine it with the sense of negativity that comes from the obstacle, we end up with orange on black. Orange on black is one of nature's warning signs. It's a warning of danger, but the danger doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. You are potentially the dangerous person. You can strike. That's what the orange allows you to do. That strike comes from a hidden sense of needing to do something, anything, and it's sudden and it's pointed, and it doesn't necessarily have any warning signs. There's no warning here about the fact that you can and sometimes do strike out simply because things have become overwhelmingly dark for you, and now you're going to defend yourself in the only way you know how, and that is to attack. On the other hand, we could also use the red, that is all of the energy and activity and enthusiasm that comes from the obstacle, and attach it to that search for balance internally. Red and gray are less potentially threatening to your own standing as a human being than red and black were. This search for the middle road, the wanting to be objective, finding that balance that is necessary in your life, can be attained by activating yourself, by doing something positive and directed and motivated that allows you to take charge of the information that you have inside. So you can find yourself speaking your truth, for example, as a way of dealing with this particular combination. But more often than not, it has to do with actually doing your truth. This is who I am, and this is what I believe I need to do. This is what I'm capable of. And it's showing the world that capability. So while you are potentially dangerous to others, you also are able to look after yourself as well. What happens then when we introduce the additional energy? Now, here we have the situation. If we cross over the orange from the activity of your strength with the driver of the additional energies, you end up with a double dose of your strength. This is important because when we double up on those sorts of doses, It means that you are more than likely able to move in whatever direction this is asking you to take off in, but to do so with double the amount of power. So you are able to survive whatever challenge you are faced with in order to try and maintain status quo. In a similar vein, if we take the black from that additional energy, the ability to take time out, and we add to that the gray from the strength, we again end up with a double dose of that additional skill. So it doesn't really matter whether or not you rely on this, on your strength, or on that additional energy that is available to you throughout May. You're going to be doubling up on those energies, and those energies are extremely powerful because they all start with, or start from, a position of trying to maintain balance, whether that be as a result of having to deal with a crisis, or as a result of trying to deal with a depression, or as a result of you needing to strike first in order to preserve yourself. It doesn't matter. The gray inside as the driver enables you throughout May to maintain that balance. And there's a certain degree of honesty that is associated with that balance. What happens, however, when we add that additional energy to your problem area, to the obstacle that you are facing? Well, we can take the black, move that to there for a minute, the black from the real world, and add it to the black from the internal world, and you end up with black on black. This is depression. It is an issue that you need to be aware of and need to potentially cut short before it gets too bad. While black in the real world is all about spiritual seeking, black in the internal world is all about feeling poorly, feeling badly about yourself, having pessimistic ideation, feeling as though things could not get worse. And that black on black is a complete withdrawal inside yourself, a refusal to face reality. That is a very negative stance to take. If we then take the red from the obstacles real world, that is all that energy that you have available to you, and add it to the gray of the additional energy that's available to you, we end up with red on gray, which again is a doubling up of what we had here when we put the strength and the obstacle together, red on gray. So there is here another doubling up of this need for finding the middle road. Who are you? What are you capable of? What do you need to do to survive? Because if you don't make those choices, if you don't look carefully at what it is that you need and deal with it, you can find yourself in a very dark place throughout May. It doesn't mean the end of you, but it certainly makes you feel as though you're coming to some sort of ending. And that is something that you probably need to consider as avoidable. So let's now look at the Oracle card to see what it has to say. Now that's an interesting one. Oracle gives you luck. You're right to be strong and optimistic about the opportunities ahead. So what opportunities do you have here? Well, most of the opportunity is hidden in this grey. You have grey that attaches to orange, to confidence. You have grey that attaches to spirituality, and that you have grey that attaches to your expression of yourself as a human being. That is where your luck comes from. You are able to see all sides of an issue, regardless of what it is that's happening in the real world. I'd think very carefully about how lucky that can be for you. Well, there's one thing for sure, and that is, even though we've had a rough number of months, February, March, and April, May doesn't really offer us all of the wonderful future that we might be hoping for. There's still going to be struggle. There's still going to be a need to reevaluate where we are going, what we are doing, what we want out of life. If your reading resonates with you, then certainly I urge you to make use of those missing colours, because they will make a difference to the way in which May 2026 works out for you. In the meantime, I wish you all the best for the month, and I'll see you again at the beginning of June. May the colours of your life bring you all the things that you need for your own happiness and higher good. Catch you next time. Bye.